Matthew Cahill, you are the whiskey connoisseur with Delcassian Wines and Spirits. We're here in the Skeff Bar and Kitchen on Galway's Eyre Square ahead of a whiskey tasting with members of the Galway Chamber business community. Now, I don't drink whiskey, but you told me that there's one for everyone. But tonight you're showcasing Writer's Tears. I have to say, I absolutely love the name. Tell us about the whiskey.
Right, so this is actually the Walsh Distillery's latest release. So it is a Irish single malt. What that actually denotes is that a single malt is made from 100% malted barley. That tends to give you a lovely richness right throughout. This particular one is triple distilled like most Irish whiskies. The more you actually distill a spirit, the smoother it gets, and that's what Irish whiskey is essentially all about. Easy sipping whiskies that can be enjoyed by the masses, I suppose. This particular one is aged in Oloroso sherry casks. So for about the last year or so of its life, it is transferred from American bourbon oak barrels into the Oloroso sherry barrels from Jerez in Spain. And this is actually where the name came from, the redhead, Writer's Tears redhead. When it's aged in those particular barrels, it does give you a nice kind of ruby red hue running through the whiskey. This particular one, it's actually bottled at non-chill filtered percentage, so it comes in at 46%. So there is a bit more alcohol present on the nose, but that can actually be undone with just a few drops of water. So what happens when you put the water into the whiskey? It actually cuts through the layer of alcohol that is present, and it just allows the whiskey to open up, and you find a lot more secondary or tertiary flavour profiles that would originally be hidden from that alcohol vapour. It also changes viscosity slightly as well, so there is actually a little chemical reaction between, say, the lipids or fats in the whiskey and the water itself. And that'll be how it's best enjoyed, is just with a couple of drops of water, in my opinion.
So whiskey is enjoying some sort of a revolution, if you like. The demographic for whiskey is reducing, and here at Skeff Bar, they've also launched Vault Whiskey Bar in the last 12 months. What do you attribute that resurgence in whiskey to?
Well, I suppose the diversity of the market. There's a lot more independent distillers coming on board now, the likes of Teelings, Bernard Walsh as well. I suppose the demographic is plummeting. Originally, typically no one under 40 years of age would be drinking whiskey. Now it's really in vogue, it's starting to trend. There's really cool brands coming out, great marketeers, like young companies, and they're just excelling it. I suppose the movement towards artisan and craft food has really helped just to start off. And now we're seeing a real resurgence in gin as a result of this. If you think about it, all these distilleries, they have to lay down their whiskey for a minimum of 3 years and 1 day by law until it can actually be bottled and called Irish whiskey. So what do you do in the interim? You make gin and you make vodka. So we now have this fabulous little renaissance happening of really top quality gins and vodkas that wouldn't have really been Irish in style. We would have traditionally copied the London dry style of gin, and now with the likes of Glendalough, of course, Drumshanbo, Gunpowder Gin, foraging all around them, and using all the amazing flora that we have to offer here in Ireland, putting it into our alcohol, and the results have been phenomenal.
Now, I don't drink whiskey, so there might be a lot of people like me. However, you did say to me, there's a whiskey for everyone. So what would be an approachable whiskey for a newbie, for somebody like me that's willing to give it a go?
To be honest, because this is bottled at 46%, I think the Writer's Tears Copper Pot is just that tiny bit more approachable. It is also a blend of malted barley and unmalted barley, so it's a bit richer, a little more approachable than the non-chill filtered version. Also, single grain whiskies are really a great place to start, because that is it'll be just grain or corner maize that's used in the production, which makes essentially a lighter style of whiskey, and you can just it's a good stepping stone, I suppose. So blended whiskey is the best place to start for single grain for anyone who's starting to get into whiskey.
Okay then, thank you, Matthew, and let's go and taste some whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely.